Yesterday, we laid out our second quarter results, obviously, but we also laid out three other things. We laid out a new strategy, a new financial framework, and a new investor proposition. And a lot of focus was obviously on the financial framework and on the distribution policy, and within that, what we did with the dividend. I think the changes, Jeff, that we made around the dividend yesterday were very simple, really, and they were rooted really in two things. Number one, it was a decision that was deeply rooted in strategy, and we laid out a strategy yesterday that says we want to transform ourselves into becoming an integrated energy company from IOC to IEC. And the second thing we talked about yesterday is that strategic context has been amplified by the pandemic and the uncertainty that the pandemic has created. So that was really the framework of what we discussed yesterday.
I'm looking for a bit more flesh on the bone here, Bernard, because lots of questions were immediately raised by this pivot. I think the market liked the messaging. That was clear on the share price performance response. But even within the announcement, you yourselves raised some questions about the likely return on capital employed in power projects compared to what you've been able to generate around oil and gas. Why should shareholders continue to be invested in BP if the message is that you're likely to make lower returns from some of these projects going forward than you would by staying in the traditional oil and gas sector?
That's a great question, Jeff. And I think I'd point you to three things around the investor proposition. First and foremost is committed distributions. Yesterday, we reset our dividend at 5.25 cents per share per quarter. That is a resilient dividend intended to be robust at a variety of oil prices. And we committed to buy back shares with 60% of excess free cash. So that is the first thing around committed distributions. The second thing that we pointed out yesterday is that we would have profitable growth. And we believe we can grow this company over the next decade. And we have given some guidance yesterday around EBITDA per share growth and return growth through the next decade. And then thirdly, it's about sustainable value. For investors who want to invest in a company that is in itself decarbonizing and in doing so helping the world to decarbonize, we believe it's a good proposition for them. So we do believe we can generate strong returns. We talked about around 10% from the transition businesses, specifically low carbon. We think we have a lot to add in this space. We bring over 110 years of deep energy experience, steeped in energy markets. And we think, importantly, that by stitching together parts of BP, by integrating parts of BP together to give consumers and customers what they want, we can enhance that return. So we're quite optimistic and quite confident. Clearly, there's a lot of work to do. Words are easy. We have to demonstrate it in delivery, and that's fully what we intend to do over the next decade.
I mean, glibly, I guess there were a lot of investors yesterday that were saying, well, what does Bernard and the team know about solar panels or about building wind farms or about any of those projects that would take you away from your core oil and gas knowledge and deep data bank?
I think this is a very important question, and it's one that we tried to address yesterday. And we have this, what we call a 3x3 strategy, Jeff, and I think there are three areas of focus, which are things like low carbon electricity and energy, consumer and next generation mobility, and our traditional hydrocarbon business. But what we really emphasize, to get to your point, is what we call three sources of differentiation. Three things that we believe that we can uniquely add to those businesses. The first is clearly around integration. The second is around providing solutions for cities and industries. Today, BP in North America provides energy management to over 100 cities, knitting together solar, wind, gas, our trading business, to give a city what it needs, which is clean, reliable, and cheap power. And the third is around embracing digital. So those three things are things that we believe we have relevant and relatively unique experience where we can add to those businesses to make them better than they would otherwise be.